Today we're going to be covering replacing the damper on a Mod 1. A couple things you're going to need is a number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. You're going to need your damper. You're going to need the syringe with the barbed fitting attached. These barbed fittings come in all the accessory kits that come with the Mod 1. And you'll also want a pair of needles nose pliers to help loosen the fitting on the top of the damper, as they have a tendency to get stuck. Alright, first thing you want to do is remove the bag from the system. What that does is when you disconnect these bags, these fittings close off and keep the ink from dripping out of the line when you disconnect the damper. You want to do this for whatever color you're trying to change the damper on. In our case today, it'll be white. Lift up the hood here, grab our number 2 Phillips head and remove the 3 screws holding down the damper plate. Set that aside, and then you're going to grab the damper cassette and lift straight up and flip it upside down to minimize any ink drippage. As you've seen here, we already have a little bit. Unfortunately, that's somewhat unavoidable, but you just want to minimize it. Next, you're going to take your Phillips head, and you have 2 screws holding down this plate in the front of the damper cassette, so go ahead and just loosen those. No need to completely remove them. Pull that straight out. Alright, today I'm going to be changing the last white ink channel, which is this one. So we'll go ahead and disconnect the fitting. As you can see, I'm going to need the needle nose, so just grab it there and twist. Alright. There you go. Now we can take out the damper, the old one, and replace it with the new one. Mentioned in the video is you can see in the back side of the damper cassette there are grooves etched in or cut out in there that the dampers actually sit in. You want to make sure that you seat those in there and that they're clipped in there properly before you reattach the cassette plate. Before reattaching the line, I go ahead and slide the damper cassette plate back on. Make sure it's snug up against the top of the damper heads. While holding that snug, you go ahead and just want to tighten these back down. And boom. Okay. And then what I'll do with the line is I'll take it and then you twist it towards the right of the machine. Then put it on top of the damper and let the tension from the line actually tighten it in there. And you only need to make these finger tight. There's no need to bolt these things down. Now that we have the damper in, we're going to want to make our life a little easier. And what we're going to do is reattach the bag to the bag connector. And grab our syringe with the barbed fitting. And stick it in the bottom of the damper and manually charge it. And you're just going to pull until you see a little bit of ink come into the syringe. That's good enough. Next, we want to replace the damper cassette. You want to do this rather quickly. You're going to go ahead and flip it inside and press down. There's not going to really be any clicking or anything like that, but you will feel them snugly go over the print head. Next, we want to replace the damper plate. As I like to tell people, this plate is here more for aesthetics. It's not really there to hold anything down. In actuality, you don't want to put too much pressure on this plate, because what it does at that point, it starts to lift the back end of the damper up off the print head. You start sucking air in there, it slowly starts to clog the print head. So just make sure you don't bolt this down. You just want to tighten these screws until the head of the screw touches the plate. And actually you can see there the plate's still kind of loose. Now that we've got everything back together, what we will do is go ahead and perform a crimp method on the white side. This is going to make sure that we have our charge in the system, all the air is removed from it. Do your simple clean and you're ready to go.